arseholes, bastards, fucking cunts and pricks. Dear old Ian Jury. That's the best opening ever to any song ever. Plaistow Patricia. Off the wonderful New Boots and Panties album. I had the original. I got a very early import copy of that, but it didn't. And I was pissed off because it didn't have Sex and Drugs and Rock and Roll on it. I thought I'd been ripped off, but then it disappeared in the purge of the 90s. And then I bought again a second-hand copy, pretty beat up one actually. I thought, oh, good. And when it arrived, I went, oh shit! It actually had Sex and Drugs and Rock and Roll on it, but they taken off arseholes, bastards, fucking cunts and pricks off this. That's the best bit of the album. You know what? You know, just there. I can never forget playing that for people back in 1977 or something, whenever it was, and they'll be humming along, you know, oh, isn't it cute? And then that comes on, they go, what? All right, memory lane. Yeah, I know. Look, I mean, I live in this fucking jacket and this hat. Bloody spring's been here for over a month, and we're back smack bang in the middle of winter here again. Fucking freezing. Arsehole bastard. Fucking winter. I could never really get into this album. They certainly ain't Kraftwerk, that's for sure. I think they're overrated. I'm just saying this to cause controversy. Yeah, Michael Rosser. Or Rota. Whatever. Klaus Dinger, yeah. Michael Rota. Connie Plank. Or here, Conrad Plank. Hans Lamp, or Lampsy, assistant. Yeah. It's rude, isn't it? You know, I'm just sitting here reading this and ignoring, if anyone's watching this, I'm just ignoring it. I know there's a couple of people on YouTube that do that. They put on a record and then sit down and just turn their back to the audience, and you're supposed to sit there and look at the back of their, well, they sit in a chair and listen to a record. How fucked is that? Talk about passive aggressive. Oop. Oop. And yeah, baby. Noi 2. White vinyl. This is like 12 years ago I bought this. This is like I used to have I think it's funny. Don't ask me why. I just think it's funny. It's small things amuse small minds. I like it. It's so cute. I used to have the wonderful Eskimo by the Residents on white vinyl, and I could kick myself forever for replacing it with the CD and selling off the vinyl, because I might have even given it to someone as a gift. Because Eskimo, you know, you think Eskimo's snow, you know, the white vinyl. Damn, I could kick myself for that one. Beautiful album cover too, Eskimo. A masterpiece of an album. Yes, what is there to say? I just can't quite get into this, because every time I put on Noi, not that I put it on very often, I've got a fair, substantial sort of kraut rock collection. But every time I think, oh, I'll put on Ashra Temple or Noi or Almond Duel, I always just put on Kraftwerk, because they're just, you know, I know I'm going to love it. With a lot of these, it's a bit like hard work at times. They have their moments. Just basically this was just a show in that a memory lane thing. I miss my old record shops in Sydney. God, I miss them. I miss being... I wish Sydney was like it was in the 70s and the 80s, you know, even the late 60s. It's all no good anymore. I saw everything's changed completely, almost unrecognisable city now. It was a rough and tough old town, Sydney. There were parts of Sydney you just did not go into, and but I used to just for the thrill of it, being chased by people, Aborigines in Redfern. You know, there was one Aboriginal pub you weren't supposed to go in because there was like Australia had its own sort of unwritten rules. Like if you lived in North Queensland, there was an apartheid thing going on up there. I moved up there, and I tried living there twice, but I couldn't stand the humidity, the climate, the tropics. But there was one bar, a pub up there, the Red Beret. And I went in one day, and I thought I'll have a beer. And all the cane farmers, all white guys, they're all stuck in this little tiny part of the pub, you know, like a little bar part, chock-a-block, drinking their silly little beers they have up there because it's so hot up there. You only buy small beers because they lose their chill very quick. And I looked out into the beer garden, and it was totally open. I went, fucking yes. I ordered a schooner just to let them know I'm from Sydney. Not that they call them schooners up there. Go in, sit down. Good, got it all to myself. And suddenly this big hand, black arm comes over my shoulder and stubs a cigarette out in the ashtray. And I went, wow. And I turned and looked back, and it was a big strapping Aboriginal guy. And he didn't say anything, and I didn't say anything because I didn't know what it was about. And then I looked back, and then it clicked. I went, I see that they've come to some sort of peace arrangement where the Aborigine guys have the beer garden, and the white inbred redneck hillbilly farmer type sugar cane farmers, they have their section. And I just said, sorry, man, I didn't realise. He was a good guy, actually. He knew. He must have known. Because, you know, I grew up with Aboriginal people, you know, not millions of them, but they're always around one way or the other. So it was like, I didn't quite understand racism until I went up to North Queensland. Holy crap. But, yeah, I lived in a part of Sydney near Redfern there, which was sort of like an Aboriginal ghetto back in the 70s. You know, going way back. But when I lived there in the late 70s, it was still a full-on. It was a bit like, you know, a battle zone in a way, like the police wouldn't go down certain streets. And it was an unwritten rule in our street, which I didn't know, but I learnt quickly there was one street where the Aborigines all lived on one side and other people lived on the other. I didn't know this. So I'm walking down the street, and suddenly all these beer bottles and bloody bricks are flying at me. I'm going, what the fuck? And then I realised I just walked over the other side of the road, and that was it. It was like this easy. Oh, man. Yeah, so once there, I was such a bad alco at one stage. I was desperate for a big bottle of beer, you know. And we're tooling around in these rich kids' Volvo, you know. They were slumming it, hanging out with me. And I said, I've got to have a beer. And there was this Aboriginal pub that only Aborigines went to, right? And I knew that. But I thought, oh, fuck it, I've got to have a beer. I said, pull up here. And they said, you sure? I said, you pull up. So I pull up. I had a quick look in. They were all out the back playing pool, right? There was an old guy serving in the where the bottle shop thing area at the front. And it had like iron bars and things. So that wasn't to keep me out. It was to keep his own clients out, I think. And so I thought, here we go. So I grabbed $2, whatever it was, ran in, slammed it down. There's this poor old Abo guy in there. I said, quick, give me a bottle of Melbourne Bitter. And he's going, oh, fuck, because you just didn't do that. That was, you know, you get killed. And he just sort of like threw the bottle at me. And I raced, and I just got my hand on the back door of the Volvo. And these guys come running out with pool cues. They were going to kill me. And then off we went. So, Noi 2. I'll never forget buying this. There was this young guy behind the counter, and I walked up with it, and he was really young and sort of a real nice looking little kid. But I don't know if it was his first day on the job or what, but he was actually shaking. Well, I gave it to him, and he was going like that, and he was sort of shaking and putting the album in the sleeve, and I thought, oh God, that guy's so nervous. I wonder where he is now. That was Red Eye Records, one of the best record shops in Sydney. They had, like a second-hand one and import, and they're still going. Good old Red Eye. Okay, just happy memories. Just wanted to share.